Gene Claxton, 2011 inductee into the CARB Hall of Fame. Gene, it's a pleasure to be here with you, and I appreciate you taking your time to sit down with us and talking about your career a little bit.
It's good to be here.
All right. Gene, your dad was a promoter, and he promoted tracks that I don't think any of these are in business anymore, but Holmes Road, Paola, and, of course, the old track down at Butler. Now, how old were you when you were kind of going around with him when he was doing that?
Probably 10 or so, 10, 12, something like that.
10 or 12 years old?
Mm-hmm.
And that it had to have been a lot of fun. And was that one of the things that kind of started to give you the desire to get into racing?
Yeah, you know, drive a pickup around the old track, you know, and stuff like that, you know, just getting...
Help back the track?
Learning, no, not too much of that, but just learning to drive.
Yeah.
And that's kind of got me hooked.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think I started in a pasture, if I remember right, at 8 or 9, and just being behind the wheel, like you say, kind of gives you that power and feeling of, you know, getting with it. But also, your brother, Eddie Atkins, now, he was racing somewhere close to this period, am I correct? Mm-hmm. Or was that a little bit later?
No, he started, I remember him running down at one of them tracks because he got upside down there one night. I don't remember, I think he had a car had an 8-ball on it or something like that, and he ended up upside down.
Yeah. Still the same number. Upside down or whatever, still 8. But I'm sure there again, that was probably one of the things that just gave you more of a want to get out there on the track with Eddie out there doing it. Well, I'm sure you were ready to do it too.
Yeah. I just grew up around it and pretty much got the urge to do it. Got the
bug. In 1968, I think we finally decided that was the right date. 68 was when you started, and started with a 57 Ford at Riverside. And this was one of Eddie's old cars, right?
It's one he'd bought, and I bought it from him. I don't think he ever raced it, but it's one I acquired from him and bought a motor for it.
Yeah.
Ran it that first year.
Let me ask you this, was being that young, because I believe you were 15 when you started, was that what you thought it would be when you actually got out there on the track, or was it harder or easier, or what do you remember about that very first race?
It was tough, you know. Being that young, it was kind of scary, you know, but it soon goes away. So
I was going to say, just after a few trips, kind of like swimming, once you jump in the water and you start thrashing the arms and legs, so it kind of starts coming to you a little bit, and you get the hang of it, and it's not quite as uncomfortable as it was when you started.
Yeah.
One of the things that you told me about racing with your brother was that you two were racing together one time, and that he hit you during the race, and he said, well, I thought you were getting out of shape and were going to spin out, so I straightened you out.
Yeah, it was kind of funny at the time, but
you didn't buy into it.
But it wasn't.
You didn't buy into it at all, did you?
No.
Yeah. I was going to say that had to be pretty comical, because I know race car drivers, and they have a lot of excuses and whatever for each other, I guess, but it had to be fun to get to race with your brother. How long did you actually get to race with Eddie, do you know?
Off and on, quite a few years, probably, I don't know, 10 years or more.
Yeah.
Most of the time we run different classes.
Oh, okay.
But we did run some late models together, but
I was going to ask you who you thought had the best of it, whether you did or Eddie did.
Oh, I don't know. We was up the little track at Shawnee one time, and he was leading it, and I passed him on the high side, and he said he didn't think there was room to pass it there, but
you got around.
Yeah, I got around it.
Bragging rights for a week or so, anyway.
Yeah.
Gene, you go for 10 years without ever winning the feature. I think that for a lot of people, that's just hard to believe for somebody that's got as many feature wins as you did, or that you do have. Did Were you dejected any time during that period? I mean, gosh, 10 years, man, that's a long time without getting a win.
Yeah, it's, you know, I guess there's a long learning curve. So, you know, it's getting better equipment and stuff makes.
Yeah. And you never did get down about that, though. You just kind of hung in there and just kept going with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, you must have. But boy, it takes some determination to stay in there and do that.
Yeah.
But in 1983, or by 1983, you've won 100 features, and you get a trophy from, I believe it was the owner of Lakeside?
Mm-hmm. John Jones.
The John Jones that gave you a trophy for those 100 wins. Slow start, but, I mean, you know, really, if you think about that, I think your first win was 78, if I remember right. So that was really not that many years that you pick up 100 wins.
Yeah.
It must have been fun, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, once we started winning it, they come pretty good, you know.
Yeah. Started stacking up.
Yeah.
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 And this again was probably mostly in the late model class.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. In one stretch during this time, now you win 35 features in 1 year, and really are a dominant racer in the Kansas City area. And Larry Castor decides that he's got to come up with some kind of a rule or something to try and make it so that it's, I guess you could say, a little bit more difficult for you to win. So they come up with what we now call the Claxton rule, in that if you won 1 week, you had to go to the back of the pack the next week.
Yeah.
Did you think that was unfair?
Maybe at the time, you know, but like I said, it made me a better racer because it, you know, made it tougher and just made you race harder.
Had to race harder and work your way up through there. And of course, I was there many times, and I remember you coming right back up and winning again.
Yeah.
So it was probably a little more difficult for you, but boy, for the fans, I think they really did enjoy it because it was a lot of fun watching somebody do that. And you can understand what Larry's thinking was, I think, but still wasn't exactly the most fun for you. From 84 to 91, you have 10 track championships. You're racing in 13 states, everywhere from Florida to California. Also, you are third in the points in the NASCAR Late Model Central region, and you also win a track championship on the asphalt at I-70 through this same period. Once again, man, you must have been having some fun.
Oh, yeah, we did a lot of racing back then, you know. It's at least 3 nights a week, and sometimes more, you know, when you catch specials during the week. And it's a lot of fun.
So it was back when you could race 3 nights, Lakeside on Friday, Riverside Saturday, and then a Shawnee or one of the tracks that ran on Sunday. You had the opportunity to run there too.
Yeah.
But now, once again, this is still pretty much in the late model class.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know, just to show that you're not really slowing down a whole lot, 2004 to 2006, you win 55 features in the Grand National class, and once again, this is between Lakeside, Lynn County, Winston Speedways. Who were you driving for at that time?
Those cars were mine. Jeff Asher's uncle owned one of them toward the end of that last, must have been 2007 or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know. We won the championship at Lakeside that last night,
Mm-hmm.
and beat Kerry Davis on the last lap, I think.
I was going to say, I think that's the one where you wrecked on the back straightaway.
On the first lap, yeah.
Or something, and
Had to go to the back.
Had to go to the back, and then it was a controversial finish too. I was thinking, but
No, that was the
year before. Okay, thank you, Wilma. But gee whiz, 55 wins in 3 years. That's a whole bunch. That's all I can say. That was a lot of racing. And do you remember anything in particular about those particular years from that era there?
that night, winning the championship on the last night was pretty special. But you know, it's had a lot of good races, but Carried won the national title the year before, and seemed like every time we tried to get in on some of the good money, they changed the rules, and then they dropped that. But you know, it's just the way it goes.
That's the way racing goes. I was going to say that I think they changed the rule that year that you won that from the NASCAR stuff, and like I say, you didn't quite get in on the big money, but you still won the championships. In 2007, you pick up, excuse me, the Tom Carrick Memorial, and you knew Tom and raced with Tom a lot, and that had to be a big win for you to win that.
Yeah. Raced with Tom a lot, and he drove one of my cars one time up at Corning, Iowa, I think it was.
Yeah.
Tim was just a little bitty kid then, but raced with Tim a lot too.
Yeah. If there was anything, Gene, that you could go back through any of or some of those years that you would like to see different or want to do different, what would it be? You have any idea on it?
Probably try to scope out better sponsors, you know, to where you can have better equipment. But you know, it's a tough job to get them good sponsors. But you know, it's hard to do any of that racing on your own wallet.
Well, I mean,
it's
getting tougher and tougher nowadays too, especially.
Yeah, it's getting out of control.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's so tough nowadays to have the equipment and the driver together in one place and to be able to get it done. And it is such a big part of it. And I know during your career, I think you owned a lot of the equipment that you raced, stuff that you owned, and it just made it just a little bit tougher.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's hard when you got to do all the expense yourself, or most of it, and keep things going. But it's still fun. So.
Okay. Well, 350 feature wins, numerous track championships, 43 years in racing, and you might be, Gene, I don't know, I'd have to check with somebody on this, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but you might be the only member of the CARB Hall of Fame that is still active in racing. So, you know, I think we're really lucky here in Kansas City. I guess we could call you a living legend if we could, because, man, the stuff that you've accomplished over the years, and we still, Friday and Saturday nights, we can go out and watch you race at some of the different tracks. And I just want to say, Gene, congratulations on your induction into the Hall of Fame. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a great thing, but I'm still looking forward to this year seeing you out on the track somewhere. But you got to be happy being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, I asked Mike Johnson when he nominated me for that about, you know, still being an active driver, and he said that didn't affect it. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It's cool. It's cool for all of us. We really do appreciate it. Thank you, Gene, for your time.